Now in section 15, we are going to see how we can modify or edit the users and groups. Now we are going to see how we can edit the user ID, how we can change the group ID, user ID, home directory of a user. So which are the default settings generally which we have users. So we are going to modify and edit those particular things. Even we are going to see how we generally add the users in the groups. So these are the things generally what we are going to check into our session now. So for this I'll start my virtual machine and we can start editing and defining the users in our group. So I'll start my virtual machine here. And we can check how many users generally we have now. So we can check by using even tail commands. First we will switch to root. As we know, we can edit or manage everything users and groups by using your superior user, that is root. I'll switch the user. Now here I am switching to my user details. So first I'll check which are the users present over here. So I'll just check tail/etc/passwd. It will show me the list of last 10 users. So this is the number of users. We have last 10 users. So we have to use test and user1. So the user ID, we have group ID, the home directory and the shell. Now we are going to modify one particular columns of this particular group. So very first thing, I'll change the user ID of user1. So for modifying any user details, we have command usermod. Usermod space -u is a parameter for changing the user ID. And we are going to change the user ID from 1001 to 1003. And which user you need to change? So you are going to change the setting for user1. Enter. So already user1, we have logged in through user1, so we are not able to change the settings of user1. So in spite of that, we can change test. So I'm going to change the test user ID as 1003, where the test user ID was 1000, so it is changed to 1003. Thus we can check the same command test. You can see the user ID for test is 1003, right? Now next we are going to see how we can change the group ID. So for changing the group ID, so here we will use usermod -g, or even can even start with our user details. These are the group ID we have, user ID we have changed. Now if I'm changing the group ID from 1000 to any other group, so what will happen if there is any other group with name 1003? So automatically the user will switch to the other group. Now here you can see the user group ID for user1 is 1002 and for test is 1001. So if I'm changing it, so automatically the user will have different group assigned to it. So first what we will do, we will change the group ID, okay, which is already mentioned in /etc/group. So user1 has 1001, test has 1000. So very first we are going to change the user ID. So for changing the user ID, I need to switch to my root. Now if I want to change the group of this test, I want the group of the test should be 1001, 1002. So we can even change the group of test. Now for this we can give command through your root usermod -g and 1002, which is Linux. So automatically what will happen, the user will be aligned with user group Linux, which is having an ID 1002. Just we'll have a check. If I switch with the user to test, and I'll create a directory mkdir test folder. Okay, so we are on desktop of test, so just root. So we will just move into a directory, home directory of test, and then we can create the same folder. I can check the parameters. All the test user is getting the group Linux, right? So that means the user is already mapped with group test. You have created by tester earlier will get a group ID as Linux, because you have only changed the group ID of complete test group itself, test user itself. So whenever the group test used to align with the owner's test group which we had, now it will be aligned with Linux. So everywhere you can find the owner as test and group as Linux, because we have changed into file itself. Now if I again want to make it test itself, so what I can do, again I can align the test user to test group. So for that I need to change the group to 1000. So here again I'll switch the user, I'll just exit from here so that I will be in user root. Now we are in root. Now I'll give command user mode -g, again 100,000 for my user 1 or test, sorry. So now we can check. Tail hyphen and 3 lines of your /etc/passwd. Enter. Now I can check. Test is aligned to 1000. Now if I get login through test, and I'll move into this directory and give ls, so you can check all the particular group is again moved to test now. So this is how we can switch, or we can align the user with different group also. So automatically the group name will change for each and every files and folders created by this particular user. So whenever you change it, you need to check into your files and you should know the user ID and group you have aligned to it. Now this is done. We have changed the user ID and group ID, and we have also changed the group. Now we are going to see. Now we are going to see how we can change the home directory of a user. So for changing the home directory of the user, again we will give command. So by default we will again use this test user. So test user has a home directory home test. So we are going to change the default home directory of test user with different folder. So for that, what we can do, we can switch the user to test and send the password, and just will check the default home directory here. When we give cd command, it will be in its home directory, and give pwd. So first we can see present working directory here. So it is by default home test. Now yes, so it is the home directory of the user. Now I'm going to change the test home directory to other different folder. For that I'll just create a folder in /home. Create a folder with name, your any particular folder name you can assign here. So I'm going to test data. So I've created it. Now I'll just move out of it. I'm going to change the home directory of test user from home test to test data. So I'll just change it, and we can give command user more space -d for directory /home /test data. data and space username test and enter. Okay, so here the test is logged in, so we'll exit from here test, and then again we can hit the same command. It's done. Again we'll get login with test and assign the password. Test password and here it has not updated yet, otherwise it had moved to your same test data. You can check into passwd file whether it is updated here. You can check. It is by default home directory /home/test data. We need to reboot this machine once so that it can move into the home directory, default home directory. Just check login and login out. Then we are able to. Okay, so we need to reboot the machine once. So automatically the home directory will move to test data. Here also we will get, but the shell will also be changed. Now we are going to do one thing, that how we are going to add the users in our group. Now we have group name file, names in my files, but I don't know which are the users belong to that group. Every user has a group, but we have not added any particular user in the group, and we don't know how many users or how many members are there in the users group, right? So now we are going to see how we can add the users in a group. Can even change the group ID here. So we can see how we can change the group ID by giving command group mode -g1004. If I want to change the group ID, like what happens sometimes if you create a group and we want to change the group ID only. So we can change the group ID by giving command group mode -g and group mode. So we have seen how we can modify the default entries of the users and group here. In further videos, we can see more details about the editing your group file as well. So we are going to wind up over here. Thank you for watching this particular video.